feel like I am in Suits or something. I don't know. I've never seen an episode of Suits, so maybe that, but that's just what comes to mind.
Delta Peace, point
Riley Clemmons is with Bandkind.
and we're going to secure the high gain and give you Omni Bravo.
Okay, so if you weren't a singer-songwriter, what would you be?
Oh man. People ask me this often, and I always give the same answer, and it doesn't feel like a real answer because it doesn't feel like a real job. I don't think it is a real job. But what I would do, I have this vision in my brain of I want to travel the world and stay in really nice hotels and then review them.
That is a real job.
Yeah, like I would love to do luxury travel and then get paid to do it, writing reviews.
I love that.
Yeah, if it's my dream, if I can just come up with anything.
I feel like that could kind of happen. I feel like you could be on a hotel review tour.
I know, I would love that. I would genuinely love that.
I feel like every time we get together, we're thinking up all these amazing, ideas.
That'll be a side task for us, Nick. Cool. We need to start a bucket list of action items. The things we want to do and how we're going to get there.
Ooh, I know. I'm in my 50s and I'm like, okay, now my bucket list, it's got to be a little bit more realistic.
No, never. Literally never.
Life is definitely short. And I know that you've gone through some really heartache with your aunt passing and there's been tears in your family. So, Riley, I want to talk about Jesus Cries. It is a powerful song on its own. I know it's connecting with people in powerful ways. What made you go from grief to writing a song?
As an artist, as a songwriter, my biggest goal is to write through the things that I'm walking through, and I think that in life, I'm 24, so I'm having so many new experiences. And I think I look back on walking through grief for the first time, just trying to process it. Writing was the easiest way to get through it. Genuinely, I've grown so much closer to Jesus upon having more of an understanding of the amount of empathy that he has, especially after walking through the heavy feelings of loss and grief and the confusion of it all. And that was followed by a really tough season of depression and sadness, just outside of that too. I was so comforted to know that Jesus, the glorified Son of God, is also Jesus, the man of sorrows, who is no stranger to heartbreak, to grief, to betrayal, to tears. And I think that for me, finding comfort in that brought me closer to the love of Jesus and reminded me that John 11:35, Jesus wept. At the tomb of Lazarus, Jesus wept, even though he knew Lazarus would be raised from the dead. I believe that that same Jesus who weeps with Lazarus, who weeps with Lazarus's family, who weeps with me and my family walking through the hardest season of our life, weeps with you too. I really believe that. And I believe that he's never been closer in the middle of our heartache. And that understanding has changed the way that I view my faith.
I think of Broken Prayers. This is really the way you started. This is the way you launched your career. And as far as I know, I mean, you've probably had lots and lots of songs before that, all through your youth and maybe even into your childhood. But I feel like the golden thread that goes through the music of Riley Clemmons is identity. You're not alone, and the man of sorrows, and you blend those three often in your themes. And it's a beautiful foundation, and it's produced a lot of very diverse songs from you.
Thank you. That's so kind. Again, writing is really, that's what I know to do when I'm trying to figure things out, when I'm learning things, when I've walked through things or am walking through things. I think it does all come back to identity. We live in our culture in a society now that is very egocentric, right? With social media, and everybody's thinking about themselves often. That's also just, I believe, in our human nature to think of ourselves often and to look in the mirror often and to think about, that's human nature. But I believe that a strong sense of identity really affects the way that I live my everyday life. And that's definitely been a massive inspiration through my music, is living out of the belief that identity and purpose are not something that can be taken away or removed, that it is something that is a God-given gift to us that we don't have to chase after. Thank God for that. So yeah, that's a huge thank you for saying that. It really does inspire me.
And identity as well. I mean, we think of, our own personal identity, but in learning about someone else, we can find different aspects of their personality, and that shapes an identity in who they are. And like you just so beautifully said, Jesus Cries also helps shape an identity for the listeners who hear that song of who Jesus is.
Yeah, I think that it was important to me upon writing Jesus Cries. It was one of the earliest ideas I had for the current record. The important thing to me was I wanted to create a song not only for myself, but people going through hard seasons when life feels really heavy. I wanted to create a song that created space to feel that. I've written plenty of songs that are the ones that are just the feel good songs and the you're going to make it through it. And all of those things are true. And I believe all of those things. But I do think that there's something, it's been a hard month. This month has been one of the hardest months of my life. It's been a really tough season walking through. And I've played a lot of shows. And every time I go to sing Jesus Cries, it's always this reminder that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel deeply, to love deeply, to hurt deeply
Mm.
within the hope of Jesus, and really believing that he's close and he's holding us. And yeah, this song's really special to me. And honestly, over the past month, it's taken on a lot of new meaning for me too. So
Wow.
it's been it's been a comfort.
You mentioned Church Pew, and I think it's interesting that in the track listing, Jesus Cries ends up in what God's favorite number, track number 7. And then
Wow.
you close the record. I think it's a powerful way to close the record with something that we often think as the entrance to a letter or the beginning of a letter, but Dear God ends the record. And I just thought the track listing on this is really poignant and beautiful.
Thank you. There's a lot of thought that went into the ebb and flow of the record, and I really wanted it to be the kind of experience where you sit down and you listen top to bottom.
Yeah.
And Dear God was put as the final track very intentionally and very ironically, because it is, you would think it'd be the opener, but one of the lyrics in the song is, words fall short, but I'll give it my best shot. Thank you for loving me, for giving all I'll ever need and being perfect when I'm not. I've spent a whole record trying to tell God what he means to me, trying to talk about Jesus, and ending it by saying words fall short, but I'll give it my best shot, is basically, looking back on the journey of trying to put these feelings and emotions and lessons to words.
Hmm.
So that was very intentional. I'm really glad you noticed that. That makes me happy.
It's really beautiful. Tell me about the music. And just so you know, when you were talking about fun songs just a moment ago, now I can't get Headspace out of my my mind.
It's a jam.
I love that song so much.
Thank you.
When you're writing songs, though, are you hearing music? Are you hearing a melody? Aside from just, the melody of the vocal, are you hearing like this needs to be a piano, this needs to be a violin, this needs to be synth, this
100%.
needs
100%.
yeah.
And that's only increased the longer I've written songs too. The more you learn the process and how songs come together and all of that good stuff, the more that you do that, the more you can start implying a lot of these things in your brain and hearing them in your head. And it's been amazing. I've gotten to work with some really incredible producers and musicians that help bring those ideas to life and hone them and craft them. And they bring their own ideas to the table, which is really special. But I believe at the end of the day, if it's a good song, it will be able to stand alone with just a piano or a guitar. That's really my thought. But I love what happens when you add in the elements that help create the sonic profile, that help create the atmosphere and the mood of it all. It was so much fun to do that on this last record too.
Church Pew, a concept that ends with Amazing Grace. You talk about people that struggle with addiction, people that are in different walks of life, and yet they sit here together. And the one song they're singing about is Amazing Grace.
Yes. Yes. You've been listening to the music, Nick. Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah. Church Pews is a very special song. It kind of conceptualized this whole record. It was a title that I had in the notes section of my phone, and we created this concept about, if church pews could tell their stories, what would they say? It's very literal. It's also definitely a metaphor. It doesn't just have to be a pew. I've sat in fold out chairs in the front seat of my car driving down the highway talking to Jesus. It's in those vulnerable moments. Those places see the best and worst of life, from funerals and AA meetings to weddings and worship and happy moments. But the common denominator through it all is the love of Jesus. I firmly believe that. And the heartbeat of this song is the amazing grace of God, and believing that no matter what your history is, no matter what your past is, no matter how broken you might feel, no matter how great you might feel, there is room on the Lord's pew because he loves you, because he wants you there. And that is a heartbeat of the song, is this idea of grace and the imperfections of being human and loving God.
Being human and loving God. I love that phrase.
You can use it, girl. You can take it. That's your phrase if you want it, Nick. You can have it, baby.
You know what I was thinking about? You should do, since you are a Nashville native, you should do a Nashville natives. I'm trying to think of the people that would be included in that. You and Colton Dixon. Who are some other Nashville natives?
Oh gosh. One of my friends, Natalie Himby, she's a songwriter in town, and she's a Nashville native. And I thought that, it's always crazy because you just don't meet a lot of them. I don't know who else.
Wouldn't that be fun? There's a good handful of people that you guys could do like a Nashville natives showcase. That would be super fun.
That would be amazing. Maybe we should.
I think you should. Because it's special, it's amazing to be from town.
Yeah, it really is. It's a rare thing. I grew up here. The city's changed so much, but there's always been a rich musical culture here. And it's special to get to create and write and make music in the city that I grew up in, right around my old stomping grounds. So it's a big privilege.
Why did I ever leave Music City?
Why, girl? You're sitting on a gold mine. You were.
Yeah. Well, there was gunshots every day when we drove through. So you'd have to drive your car low.
Yeah, drive your car low and lean the chair back. Yeah. But East Nashville's definitely a little bit more cleaned up now, which is good. It's good for all of us.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You have a Christmas EP coming out, right?
I have a couple Christmas songs coming out this year. I'm so excited. They're some of my favorite Christmas songs, including an original one. And then I'll get to take them on the road with the iconic, the king of Christmas besides Jesus, y'all. Michael W. Smith.
That is phenomenal.
Dream come true. I'm a massive fan.
Oh my goodness. I love the remake that For King and Country did with Smitty.
Oh yeah, Place in This World.
Yes.
It's so good.
Very cool. It's going to be amazing for you to be out. You'll probably do some duets with him as well.
Yeah, that's the plan, which is crazy. I'm not going to, my family is not. We're all very excited. We're very excited.
Are you going to do rehearsals?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
So fun.
It's a very wild thing to see Michael W. Smith pop up on your recent messages. That's a wild.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's
okay. What are you gonna wear?
Well, just the most Christmassy over the top dresses ever, because you already know.
Yes, fashion.
You have to.
You have to. It's going to be glorious.
So excited. Yeah.
How fun. What's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, Holy Night is my favorite Christmas song of all time. And one of Michael's songs that's actually one of my all-time favorites is All Is Well. Most beautiful Christmas songs. And that's just I love it so much.
Yeah, I feel like, isn't there like a key change later on in the song that brings emotive closure to it? It's like, yes, all is well. It just feels like hope at the end. It's a beautiful song.
That song. It is such a good song. It
So
really is.
cool.
Woohoo!
Awesome. It's so great to see you.
Catch up, Nick. Thank you for the time today.
Yeah, thank you for the songs, girl.
So much. Love you, girl. It's so good to see you.
Okay, you too. See ya.
Bye. Riley Clemmons is with Band Kind.